Morning guys, and welcome back. This is Pete Dahlgren working on the Mears Models F86, and I woke up in the middle of the night kind of wondering about my sliding canopy that I started building, and I like the idea of it working, and I've cut this off, as you can see. And I added some 1/4 inch by 3/8 braces marking the center line, and I've cut this off and added a little bit of bracing back here. Now what I need to do here to make this work, and I've explained it a little bit in past episodes and what's going on, but it's important that this be sheeted across the bottom. And I ran it a little wild because I'm actually going to sheet on the inside of this frame as soon as I make this forward frame. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about. My original plan was to cut this one and move it forward against this one and glue it into this channel right here. However, I'm finding out that it may or may not work. I don't know, but I'm not going to cut this out yet until I actually have this and the channel built. Now what I'm using for that is 2 pieces of hardwood. This is maple, and I'm going to put a piece of plywood in between that, and I'm going to shim that up, and they will sit around. They are simply going to go in to this area right here. Now what I got to do here now is make that, because I do intend to put a lineal actuator into the bottom of this thing, and it will sit right in here, and it's only going to move back. It'll move back exactly this far. So the part that I'm going to make for the actuator will actually come up, and it will actually sit, and it's going to sit right here like this. And then if this will get, this is marked with the center line right there, and then what I will do is I will cut it out, and I will actually put in a plywood piece. It's aircraft plywood. I'm laminating up some of this stuff here, and this is aircraft. This is just standard birch plywood. It's aircraft grade, real good stuff, strong, no issues. And then I will cut and laminate 2 of these together, and then I will cut the 2 notches up in here and there, and then we will set this and actually kind of countersink it down a little bit to where this piece sits down and it will actually slide. It'll only be about probably about a 1/2 inch wide, and then the magnetism will glue to it, and then it will just sit in here. And then on the bottom of it, I will take and I will line up on the bottom where it comes up. It'll actually sit. Let me see if I can do this without knocking it all over the place. Anyway, I'll just do it like this. This is what it'll be, guys. It'll sit in between here, and then I will take another piece of hardwood like this. We'll just simulate it with this. It's just some 3/8, and then that will sit on the bottom with a couple holes drilled through it, and I'll put a couple T-nuts on it, and this will sit underneath it like that, and it'll have one little arm right in here, one little arm and for the servo to hook to, and that'll pull it back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and build it, and we'll see what we got going here. And then when I do it, I will take and I will mount it. I will cut these off. I'm going to also be adding a couple deadmen in here. Sounds good, didn't it? But anyway, I'm going to be adding another set of deadmen across here to keep this as rigid as possible and keep it from moving. And this is actually consequently what this whole thing will glue into. So I got a lot of work to do here, but it will definitely be worth it. You'll see that it'll work fine. Another thing we got to do after that's all done, these parts are actually set in there. What I got to do is sheet that just like I did this right across the top and all the way down this rail. Now, if you look, I shot this by eye. I didn't really go so. What I got to do is add another piece over the top, sand this so it's actually flat, true it up, and then I will actually glue another runner across the top. Now in the front up here, what I did is I added some 3/8 on there, only in this part up here. I might add a couple more in. I don't want to get it too heavy, but we don't want it to be, it doesn't bend at all the way it's done here, sheeted through the bottom, and that will all get trimmed off. It's just a matter of doing this and getting it, and then once this is all set up, I will go ahead and sheet the rest of this thing and make that real nice, and then it shouldn't take that long to do. But what I want to do in here, guys, is when I get into this thing, I will cut a channel in here, and there'll be another piece of that plywood that'll be cut off, and it will simply sit in a straight line. It'll sit in a straight line up in here, and what this will do is that will keep this from moving at all. If it does, or if it even tries, it'll be a little bit wider, and then when this is all done, it will slide back to about right there, and that's as far as it's going to move. And then you'll notice that when it's down under here, that this overhangs over just like the real thing. But in order to keep this so this actually moves and moves solid, smooth, and it's not right now, but it will be, it'll move, and it'll move real nice, and it'll give you that opportunity to look and see all the stuff that's going on in here. After we get this all built, then I will go ahead and I will build the cockpit box, and that's what all this is about. I got to add another piece across here, and this is where the dash will actually sit, and it's going to give me something for the actual panel to sit. Now I'm going to build my own cockpit, so this is all something that will be done, and it's only going to sit down about this far. But what I want to do with it is I want to set it back underneath here like the real thing. I don't want it butt up in here. I want it to show a little bit of depth and where it is and all that, and I want you to be able to look in it and think, wow, that looks pretty cool. But anyway, you know, it's just something I do. It's something I learned building the Spitfire, so it's where we're going to be with everything. And as you can see, we're well on our way, and we're going to start truing this up, get it ready to put on the one big sheet back here after I've cut it out and done all this other stuff. So like I said, I've got a lot of stuff to add, but this is basically where I'm at on it and going. Now, my air brakes, they work, and they work well. So, and now again, there'll be 2 lineal servos that are in there. We got a little bit of body work to do under here, but that's okay. I pushed, when I did this, I overcut it a little bit, so I'm gonna have to fill that. It's no big deal, but they do work. They only come out to about here anyway, and I'll talk more about this mechanism once we get it. I ordered a couple lineal servos. They should be here in a few days, and then we'll get this, and then we're going to start doing a lot of electronic work in this thing. We're going to start getting that all buttoned up. I'm going to use my old JR radio to test everything. It's not the radio I'm going to be using. The JR radio that I got's an old 3108, and it's 8 channels, but it'll be enough to start getting things to where we can work this while we're waiting to get the I-12. And that remains to be seen on what I'm going to do with a lot of that. And we're going to continue sheeting, but we have a lot of electrical and a lot of other things to run. I've already started running a lot of the electric that you can see in there, but we got a lot of parts to order because I'm not going to be using any connectors in the back of this. I'm going to be using Apex pins, so that they're actually bolted into the they will actually be bolted to the bulkheads, and that goes for everything that you see in here. It's all just going to be plugged in. There won't be any connectors or any wires to be fighting around with. It's all just going to be done in here, and it'll just make it simplified. And with all this stuff being bolted down anyway, chances of that stuff coming apart in midair are slim to none. There's not a vibration problem with the jet. They don't vibrate, so it's not like anything's going to get shook apart. They're extremely smooth. So we will continue on with what we're doing, and I am going to start doing some more sheeting on the nose, and we're going to work on the other speed brake. And since I did this one, now I'm going to run through the process with the second one and show you how I built this hinge, because it does actually in fact drop. If you look, it does actually drop, and it sweeps up into place, but it sits down like this, just like the real thing. And this one is a little bit shorter. These are a little bit shorter than what it was, and the reason I did that was because of the fact is that to get down around that curve down in there would be kind of crazy, but it doesn't mean I can't fix that and make it actually a little bit. It's only about a ½ inch shorter than what it should be. And the reason I did it like that was is because of the way the fuselage is set, and it's an extreme curve. It can be put in, and I did actually put in a secondary brace. Should I change my mind, I can cut this out and glue it right to it, and it's fine. And I still might. But anyway, the framing and interior sheeting is the way to go on this. I know it's not scale, but at least the things are there and they look great in here. And I can still do some details on it and make it look real well. I mean, it's just something with the tailpipe and everything. I just felt that it was just going to be crazy to, I don't know, to me, it just seemed to make more sense to make them absolutely functional and work, and get them to where they are going. I mean, you'll know it, I'll know it, but people out in the field and stuff like that are going to see it, and they're just going to go on over it anyway. And it's like I said, even if I decide to cut it out a little bit more, I still can. But it's right to where it needs to be here. And another thing too is that this has a torque box built into it, and I'm going to talk to you guys about it, because this piece floats, and it has to, because if you look in here, the hinge actually does in fact move in and out because of the way the way that it sweeps. It would be a very complicated mechanism to make, and without it not being right, and I didn't want any chance of that blowing off at 150, 200 miles an hour. So I did them that way, and I'm satisfied with it. It works. It's all hardwood. It's sleeved. It's got bolts in there, and those are removable. Should they need to be for glassing or whatever the case may be, they are removable to do that. I've got a lot of body work to do on this airplane, guys, and I think one of the big things is just staying consistent and making it work. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll all be back with the next bit of excitement, and hopefully we're going to have some more sheeting ready to go on here in just a few minutes. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching.